In English we say, how do I get rich? In poetry we say, if you can desire wealth not for the cash, but what it buys, yet see that riches may cloud what truly lies. If you can ask with honesty what you desire most, and realize that life's true wants might differ from the things you can boast. If you can think beyond the crowd and find what is yours, and see that wanting more might not unlock life's hidden doors. If you can do what matters and let go of waste, you may find that in this focused aim, clarity remains. If you can seek your heart's true quest and strive for what's within, you will find that all the noise around must be silence to begin. How to achieve more in 1 week than 99% of people do in 12 months. There are a lot of parts in that question that need further explanation. The part how to do says that I can share how to do something and that you can practice my method or my teaching and get the desired outcome, which is more than 99% of people do in 1 year. But is that true? Can I teach you a method that you can do and that gives you that outcome? It reminds me of a quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti. I maintain that truth is a pathless land and you cannot approach it by any path whatsoever, by any religion, by any sect. The moment you follow someone, you cease to follow truth. That being said, a how-to or a method seems to work for very specific questions or problems or things. To give you an example, the question of how can I segment an audience of my newsletter in my platform, which I use is Beehive, right? So that is a very specific question. And there may be 2 ways to do it, but it's very limited, it's very restricted. Therefore, there's a clear method or technique on how to do it. Therefore, if I share that or someone else shares this technique with you, then it's valuable, but only in that specific domain, in that specific area. What I'm trying to say is it's very limited, which isn't bad, it's just very limited to that question. So what I found to be true is that the more specific it becomes, the more specific the question, eventually there only becomes one way to do it, the more specific you get. But that being said, I'm not sure if that applies to everything. For example, a thing that I was thinking of was a free kick in soccer. I mean, you can score it in many different ways, right? So does it apply in that situation? Well, maybe if you go very specific, you need to shoot it in that corner with that spin on the ball, with this part of your foot. Well, then it can get very specific if that is the goal, but that is not practical. Nobody would ask you that, nobody would want that. In that case, it's just a goal to score the goal. So there's no one way to do it. Therefore, there's no method or technique that would help you. And it is often those things where there's not one way that it is also very difficult to teach. For there is not a one way, and especially with something like soccer or maybe physical things. But I would even go as far as coding and also digital things. It seems like there is not one way that someone else can teach you and that you now follow. And even if you do, it's often, what I've noticed with myself, very temporary. I only temporarily use that way of doing things. But eventually I stick to my own way or follow my own plan or try out my own thing that I have going on here, that my own idea, and then test that. And eventually the thing that works for myself is the one that sticks. But what is more interesting is that there is a reason why you want to do the thing, why you clicked on this video. There's a reason behind that. Why do you want to do more than 99% of people do in 1 year, and you want to do that in 1 week? Why is that? Why do you want to know the how to this? I'm very certain, very confident it is not about doing more than other people. I don't think you really care about that, because most people do things for external reasons. Alright, for instance, we want to become rich so that other people may respect us. Even though you don't want to say this, it doesn't sound nice. It is the truth for many people. You want to drive the Lamborghini so that this and that. But most people don't want it because internally they feel so happy. Well, you might want to say as much as you want. You can say, I love the car, I love the driving sound of it, and I love everything about it, and I would drive it if I was the only human in the world. And that may be true, but for most people it is not the case, and you know this. So I assume that this question of how to do more than 99% of people is more related to how to become rich, because this is a thing that is most common in society, a desire of most people. And the assumption that by doing more than 99% of people will get you to become rich faster, that seems to be the underlying reason why people are interested in this quite popular question in the first place. But is that true? Is it true that by doing more than 99% of people, just in general doing more, right now, in today, in tomorrow, in this week, that you become richer or rich faster? Well, let's look at what is really true. Doing more of effective stuff gets you faster to what you want. But there's a lot going on in that statement. Doing more of the effective stuff. So what is effective? Gets you faster to what you want. But do you know what you want? Do you really know what it is that you want from that thing? Do you know what you're going to get from that stuff that you're doing? Because that is often not the thing you want. That's what I've noticed with myself. I thought I wanted profit, but when I look back at my actions, it was in fact revenue that I wanted most, and also team size. You know, if I had over 50 people, did over $4 million in revenue, and these are the results that I got, and they were much more dominant than other things that I wanted or thought that I wanted. And this reminds me of a quote from Peter Drucker. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing right things. But are you doing effective stuff? I mean, it doesn't matter that you do more than 99% of people. That doesn't matter at all, does it? What do other people have to do with you also? I mean, they don't matter, because what do you want? Let's say it is money. I assume it is. So if it is money, then what do you want? How much? What is the monthly income you strive for? What is the amount and why? And when you ask these things genuinely, honestly, to yourself, by yourself, it may be true. It is not money that you want. For money, just money in the bank, that doesn't mean anything to, I would say, anyone. Many people want to buy stuff from it, or want to live a specific lifestyle with it. Want to drive a specific car, want to live in a certain way in a place, and from that get, for example, status or power. And they are often, those things are often based on what they see on social media, you know, these popular views and stuff. And even if you're not on social media, you know, driving the Lamborghini, they are all popular things. They're quite old now as well, like they're not just recent things, although they have definitely become much more popular recently. But I would say status goods has always been there. And right now it may be driving the Lambo, living in Dubai, traveling the world, putting it all on social, and buy the stuff you want, when you want, where you want, the designer shoes, the designer clothing, the experiences, the VIP, blah, blah, blah. So if that is what you want, well, two things. Wouldn't it be effective to find out how you can really get that, instead of asking a very different question, such as, how can I achieve more than 99% of people do in 1 year, and I can do that in 1 week? And the second thing is that what you really want? Let's say you find out it is that you want to become rich. Is that what you really want? Because if you don't, then it would be a massive waste of time, effort, and energy, right? I mean, if you find out at the end of your life that you didn't want money, but you used all of your time to get that, then wouldn't you have taught yourself to spend more time on the question of what do I really want? For when you do, when you really know what you want, then with given enough time, you always get it, right? I mean, just look at your own life. The thing you really wanted most, maybe 10 years back, maybe 5 years back, maybe 3 years back, what you really wanted most, you got it, right? Or you're almost having it right now. And this has been true for me. That's all I can say. And if you disagree, then just look at, was that really the thing I really wanted? Just look at what you have right now. That may be the thing that you really wanted 5 years ago. It brings me to another quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti. It is love alone that leads to right action. What brings order in the world is to love, and let love do what it will. And that's with everything, except for a few things. I mean, could you really become a better player than Lionel Messi, even though you really wanted it? If that was a thing, to become the best player in the world, better than Messi, was the thing you wanted most in life, then would you become that? I would argue no, because there might be a lot of people who actually really genuinely desire that most in their life, but haven't become that. So there are exceptions. I'm not sure what the conditions are. Maybe I write about it in a future letter or video. But there seem to be some things that are not possible. And I say that very carefully because I do not like the word. Because it is often used as an excuse or limited belief. But it seems to be the truth, which is why I say it. For certain things, it seems that talent, whatever that may be, I don't have a definition for the word, but whatever that is, it seems to be that for certain things that talent plays a significant role. But back to the question of this video, why you clicked probably in the first place on it. How can you do more in 1 week than 99% of people do in 1 year? Is this still a relevant question after talking about all of this? Because is it about doing more, or is it about maybe doing less? Or maybe even more so, doing what is effective, and that's it. Not more of it, not less of it, just what is effective. I mean, I can walk all day, but it doesn't give me what I want. In my case, it doesn't give me what I want. then it doesn't matter if I walk more or not, does it? So right now I assume, and because this has been true for me, and I think it has been very true for you, if you look at your own life, there are a lot of things that you're doing daily, weekly, as a habit, that are not giving you what you want eventually from it. They are simply not effective. But you really think they are, because they're really close to what you have been believed, you have been told to believe, everything you are conditioned to believe. This is probably why you still do them, because you really think, you believe that they give you what you want, or eventually give you what you want. For example, reading. Reading is such a big thing, but well, I talk more about it in this video. I'm not here to convince you. Just look at your own life, and it's very simple. Just look at the things that you are doing right now. Did they give you what you wanted from them? What did you want from them in the first place? And what have you got so far? What have you got so far, and why did you got it? Those are very powerful questions, but few will ask them. So will you? That's a question. And when you do, when you find out the answers to these questions, or ask better questions than these, when you ask what do you really want, maybe in the first time in your life you use thought as a tool, not being controlled by it. And then you find your own how-to, which has always been the case in your life, at least in my life. I've always been figuring out myself how to do something. I mean, I get inspired, that's for sure, but it's often not the things that other people, you need to do this step, and you need to journal and then do it in the morning. I mean, they're never the ones that stick, never the ones that even work. And the truth is that most people just find out their own how-to in their life. But the how-to doesn't matter at all if the thing you get from the how-to is not what you want. So that seems to be the most important thing that I found, to ask yourself. It almost always seems to come back to this: what is it that I want? Because it is certain to me, absolutely true, that the thing that I want, that I will get it. It's not the second thing or the third thing, it's the one thing that I want most. I will get it eventually. And of course, the more effective way, the better, the faster to get there, the better. But it is that thing I will get. For me, it is really important to find out clearly what it is that I want, for I know I will get it. And if it is not really what I want, then it seems to be such big waste of anything. And it could be true that what you really want right now, maybe it's money, maybe it's 1 million, whatever it is, that you could figure out how to get it very quickly in one day. I mean, nobody really seems to think this way. But if you had a connection with a CEO of a big company, and you sold them a deal of 1 million today, then that's profit for you. And if that was your goal, you have it. And even if you didn't have that connection, but you figured out that that was a plan, and you closed that deal today, or maybe tomorrow or next week, and you've achieved your goal. And when I say that, I start to think as well, I mean, maybe there's a reason why nobody really thinks that way. Maybe everyone loves the hard work, the strive, the long hours, whatever it is that you see on social media. I mean, I was definitely big into this. And maybe you fall in love in this. So you're not thinking effectively, you're thinking, well, maybe you are. Maybe you actually want the hard work, the strive, the sweat, the pain inside. Maybe it is that what you want. So you find an effective way to get that. But don't trick yourself. If it is really whatever, in this example, the 1 million, if that's what you want, then there is for sure very effective ways to get there. Maybe more effective ways than you are thinking right now. And that reminds me of a quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti again. The primary cause of disorder in ourselves is the seeking of reality promised by another. So if the title of this video changed from what it is right now to what is the most effective way to find what you want in life, what is the most effective way to get that, what is the most effective way to find out what you want, and then the most effective way how to get it. If it changes to that, if you're asking yourself that question and finding answers or better questions, and through that answers, but effectively getting to the answer, then that seems to be your way. Whereas the title of this letter is not. I mean, it's not even a question to consider how to do more than 99% of people. It doesn't matter if you do more. Of what? Of reading books? What has it gotten you? Really look at it. It's a topic for another video. I made a video about it, but I was so conditioned to believe that reading books and all this stuff, doing more of it, reading more pages, reading faster. I mean, if it is just that you want to feel good, then there's very effective ways to feel good. For example, you can pick and choose your best comedians, the ones that you laugh most at. Calculate a ratio of how much you laugh per video you see of them, per minute you watch of them, per show you go to. I mean, if that's what you want, if you want to feel good in life, I don't say that it's bad, then there's very effective ways how to get that. But just find out if that's what you want. And if it is so, then find out the most effective way. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't you use a shortcut? I mean, you've heard it. You hear this all the time. You shouldn't take the shortcut or any bad stuff around shortcuts. That it is not for serious people. But isn't that all what we want? The quickest path to get something? So how do you really find what you want in life? It seems to be at the core of this video for sure, and at the core of a lot of questions I ask myself. For anything else seems to be a waste. Well, I want to ask you, is there such a thing that you should want? You may not hear what I say or the meaning when I thought about it. Is there such a thing that you should want somewhere in the future? You want something that you do not have right now. There's a lot of belief in that question, in that statement. What do I want in life? That I need to know something that I want in life. There's a lot of belief inside me, very honestly, and maybe you too, that we should have something in the future. Which leads me to my question to you. If I can't find it in today, will you ever find bliss? And honestly, that's a topic for another video. For that is absolutely a big thing, a big belief to discover. And if it is true, because it could be very untrue, that there is something in the future that I should want, that should be gotten. And this is such a big belief, and I think because it is so difficult to not believe it, right? Because what is then there left? If there is nothing in the future that gives us more than we have right now, I mean, we've been so conditioned to look at it that way. How can today be perfect? Only in that word already, so much conditioning, isn't it? The word perfect. How can today be perfect? Can't be perfect. Perfection is not true, doesn't exist. But what if? What if right now, today is perfect? I'm not saying you should, but then you could today happily, right? At peace. Because you already have everything. You have everything. Now that's interesting. Why does that, probably to you, because it did to me, sound unacceptable? Why does that sound so unacceptable to my mind? Because if it is perfect, why wouldn't that satisfy? Honestly, it's a very deep thing, so it's a topic for another letter. And you may already learn more about it here. Talk soon. And by the way, if you're trying to find the truth in a specific situation or problem in your own life but can't seem to find it, you can always reach out to me on email or social. I won't ask for money, but I only respond to serious people. Talk soon.